Smart guitars are here to stay whether you like them or not. Now they do have their place and I'll discuss reasons why I think so in this video. If you're someone who has no time for them and thinks that they're complete garbage, then you're best not watching this video. But if you're intrigued, want to learn more and are curious about what this thing is, then stick around and we'll get stuck into this today, which is the Aeroband Guitar. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. Now if you are new here, do have a little look around. There could be a few things that you might find of interest, so do consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. And thank you to Aeroband for sending this out for me to review and demo here on the channel today, but as always, opinions are my own. So as mentioned in the intro, this is the Aeroband Guitar, which is a guitar that's not a guitar. And as a guitarist of 30 years, part of me thinks I should really be telling you that this is complete trash and you shouldn't go anywhere near it. But I do think it has its place for reasons I'll explain in this video. And I suppose at first glance, it does look similar to a guitar, especially for those perhaps new to guitar. But obviously there are many key differences here. So I'll be going over things like who is this for, I'll run through all of the features, we'll take a look at the app and of course MIDI. So I'll leave timestamps down below for you to navigate to whichever parts are of interest. So let's get stuck in. So who is it for? Well, Aeroband market this in a number of ways. And the first thing that came to my mind when I first saw it was perhaps it's aimed at beginners looking at something that they could just pick up and get going with straight out of the box without the need to worry about tuning and pushing too hard on the frets, etc. But after having a play around with this for a couple of weeks now, I would definitely recommend not purchasing this for your first guitar. Now I teach guitar and I have done for a number of years, and developing technique is fundamental to becoming a more established and fluent performer. And if you went for something like this before playing a real guitar, you would adapt to this way of playing, and then the crucial techniques you need to play a real guitar would just not be there. Now Aeroband also market this as an instrument that's always in tune, which it is, and that could be useful if you wanted to pick something up, practice a song, play through your scales and arpeggios, etc., and not worry about the need to tune up all the time. You can also use this as a MIDI controller, so perhaps if you're not a confident keyboard player but you wanted to write some piano or synth parts on a track in your DAW, then you could do this on an instrument that you're more familiar with. And on the Aeroband website, they also say that this is a pain-free experience, which tells me that perhaps this is aimed at musicians who might suffer with arthritis or have some other problems performing on a real guitar because of a condition that they might have that makes it a bit more difficult. This is basically down to the fact that there are no real strings along the neck of this guitar, and instead we've got soft silicone strings embedded into the fretboard. And I keep calling this a guitar, but I think we've got to think of it as an instrument in its own right. Similarly to when the MIDI keyboard was introduced, it wasn't aimed at established classical pianists, but more of a way to trigger sounds on a particular piece of hardware or within a DAW, for example. One other thing that Aeroband say about this instrument is that you can take it anywhere because the neck is detachable. So I guess if you're someone like me who travels a fair bit and likes to have the option of picking up a guitar to play in their hotel room, then this could perhaps tick that box. But then again, there are real travel guitars out there with detachable necks too. So let's take a look at the features. You'll be pleased to know that this thing has a head, a neck and a body, just like a real guitar, but there is a distinct lack of tuners on the headstock because there is just no need to tune this thing up. That's because there are 9 different tones built in, and when you play a particular note, that note is played just like a MIDI instrument and sound is then projected out of the built-in speaker. Now moving down the neck, you'll also see the 6 silicone strings embedded into the fretboard, making it super simple to play notes just by resting your finger on a particular string in a particular fret. No need to apply any pressure at all. Along the side of the neck, we have the fret indicators, which will show feedback when we apply pressure within a particular fret, but also they'll change color depending on which tuning or capo position we have selected, as well as when we select a particular instrument or drum kit sound. And yes, there are built-in rhythm sounds that we'll have a listen to shortly as well. On the body itself, there are 2 knobs, one which will turn the guitar on and off, but also adjust the output volume, and then the second will start and stop the drum and percussion sounds, as well as adjusting the volume of the microphone, which you can also attach here via the 1/4" input. Next to this, we also have a 3.5mm headphone output if you wanted to practice a little more quietly perhaps. Going back up to the head, the tone button here will cycle through the 9 built-in tones, which range from different guitars, to bass, to banjo, and even piano. And then there are buttons either side which will move up in pitch, just like attaching a capo, but you can also move down in pitch without the need to detune your guitar, which is pretty cool as well. These buttons do other things as well. For example, if we start the drum beat, we can use the buttons to change the tempo by speeding it up or slowing it down, and the tone button will also change the type of beat, which ranges from pop to rock to folk and more. Then if we hold the tone button down for a couple of seconds, we enter autoplay mode, which is where we can play certain chords and melodies without the need to play real chord shapes, which could be good for some inspiration if you're songwriting, I guess. Now this is different different to the simplified chords that we'll take a look at in the app in a minute, so don't get those two things confused. Now, we've got 6 real strings which you can change just in case they do break, and that can be done by removing the cover plates here. Now, Aeroband call these front and rear covers, which doesn't make too much sense to me, seeing as they're both technically on the front of the guitar, and perhaps naming them neck and bridge covers, just like we would if we were describing the pickups, might have been a better option, but that's just my opinion, I guess. So on the rear cover, there is a metal strip, which is called the mute bar, and this allows us to mute the strings, say if we wanted to palm mute or stop them from ringing out, and you can also set this up to provide a percussive slap if you wanted to do that too. We've got a guitar output in the position that you'd expect to find that, which is nice, and next to this we've got the USB-C input you would use to charge the guitar itself. And then there's even 2 strap buttons if you wanted to attach a strap and stand up whilst you're playing as well. So what's included in the box? Now, when you get the Aeroband guitar, it will come well packaged with a few accessories. You'll obviously get the main body and neck, which will come separated, and it's really easy to attach and detach these to set up or pack away. You'll also get 3 guitar picks and a little pick box to keep them stored in, a USB Type-C cable, which also has a USB-C to A adapter if you needed one of those. You have a screwdriver included to adjust the tension of the strings or to change them, and then there's a few different types of fret stickers to use if you wanted those, the usual warranty info, quick start guide, and a user manual to browse over at your leisure. So let's delve into the app. Setting up with the app is pretty straightforward. Just either scan the QR code included and follow the instructions, or head over to where you get your apps and look for the Aeroband guitar and download it manually. You'll be prompted to allow Bluetooth to ensure a connection between the app and the guitar, and then either create an account or log into an existing one. Then connect via Bluetooth MIDI. Your guitar will play a nice little connected jingle, and you're good to go. Now, the app will let you do quite a few things like play along with tracks, so you can choose one and it might say to change to a different capo position, and then you can play along, similar to Guitar Hero, I suppose, but with real chord shapes, which could be fun for some. You've got tutorials in here as well, which I won't get stuck into in this video, and account information, which is where you can change your login details and connect to the Aeroband community, etc. But the main area I'd suggest to go to is the guitar tab in the top left. Here you can scroll through and select your desired instrument, enable or disable the simplify left hand, which basically allows you to play full chords, or if you're not yet comfortable doing that, you can enable easy chord and it will let you place one finger within a fret, and then you can strum or pick the strings and you will hear the full chord as if you were playing it properly. You've also got the simplify chord option, where it will give you an easy way to play each of the chords in the key of C major, for example. At the bottom, you can see the fretboard, which will display the location of where you're placing your fretting hand and which strings are being played. Then we have a way of changing the tempo for the internal drum beats with a tap tempo function too. Underneath this, we can also start drum loops and also change which rhythm sounds that we want to play along with, like we can do on the guitar itself. And finally, on the right-hand side, we have settings where you can make changes to the microphone effect, technique, which is useful if you wanted to enable the hammer-ons and pull-offs so that it behaves more like a real guitar. And there's also the open string hammer-ons you can enable too. Then there's the option on how you want the mute bar to behave, which can be set to none, which is off, mute bar, which will allow the strings to be muted when the mute bar is touched, and this allows for palm muting too, and then there's stroke, which will provide a more percussive effect when you play a string and then tap the mute bar. You've got string settings, so you can see the velocity of each string, as well as adjusting the loudness or volume and sensitivity of each string too. You've even got ways to change from standard tuning to things like open tunings, drop tunings, and even dadgad. So I guess when you want to experiment with different tunings on the fly, having an instrument like this to hand might actually come in useful. You can enable or disable fret noise, adjust brightness, and even check firmware updates. In the top right, you can look at user guides for some settings, disconnect Bluetooth, and also check the guitar battery level status as well. So that's the app, and there's more that we can talk about with the songs to play along with, but I think that's probably enough for this video. So let's check out some of the sounds. Now, regarding MIDI, it's really easy to use this as a MIDI instrument, similar to a MIDI keyboard. Just plug it into the computer with the supplied USB-C cable, open up your chosen DAW, select the Aeroband Guitar as your MIDI input, and you're good to go straight away. Now that's probably as much detail as I can really go into in one video without dragging it out too much. But the bottom line is, I think something like this does have its place. Whether or not that's hanging on the wall in your studio is going to be your decision. But after everything I've gone through in this video, hopefully it will help you make the choice as to whether or not you'll make use of it. Personally, it's not something I would encourage as a first instrument, or if you're fairly new to guitar and wanted to try something different. But if you struggle with your fingers on the fretboard, wanted a guitar-like MIDI controller, or just wanted to try something new and have the spare cash, then it could be worth taking a look at. I have left links down below if you wanted to check those out, and there's also a range of different accessories, including a case you can add to this as well, which could come in handy if you do plan on transporting this thing around. So that's it for today, everybody. I hope it has been useful, and if so, please do give this video a like so that it can reach more people like you. If you haven't already, do consider subscribing to the channel to stay in the loop, and as always, everybody, I'll see you in the next one.